You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Time to sharpen those swords. You're listening to Sabres Semantics, a hard-hitting interview and discussion show featuring players, alumni, media, and all others who cover the NHL's Buffalo Sabres. With interesting stories from the past and current objective analysis, this show is sure to provide an entertaining and unique perspective for both Sabres and hockey fans alike.
Oh, brother, we are not worthy!
Exclusively on the Armchair GM Sports Network.
And welcome into another episode of Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you those that are tuned in on our video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay updated with all of our video coverage here on the network. And thank you to those that listen on your favorite on-demand audio platform. You can give us a follow on X at Sabres Semantics, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. For all of our short reels and content that we post here on the network. Brandon Caputo and Austin Broad of Elite Prospects back with you on the show today to discuss the Buffalo Sabres' most recent stretch of games, but more importantly, the big picture is what we're going to be talking about on today's show with Austin, back with us for the first time since the season preview show. Again, it's been a while since we've been able to have Austin's analysis on the show, but I know he's been dying and chomping at the bit to give his opinion here, and a lot of things that have sort of gone on with the Sabres first little bit of the season, and who should be making the decisions for this team going forward. Big picture, a lot of signings, a lot of things that needed to happen, and the GM and the head coach are both in the last year of their contract. So we're also going to talk about the fan poll from what you guys thought about the goaltending situation, and as well Isak Rosén and Noah Ostlund. Will they stay up with the Sabres or not going forward when they start to get a little bit healthier? So Austin, thanks for being able to come back on the show today. I know you probably have a lot of thoughts over the last month and a half, but I guess to open up general thoughts on what you've seen so far from the start of the Sabres season.
I mean, the first 19 games in there, 19 games have been the most Sabres 19 games ever, right? Like 0-3 to start the season. Oh God, it's over, to that weird stretch where they were getting points in like 9 of 10, but like half those were just overtime losses, literally being like tied for a playoff spot, to then here's another 5-game losing streak. Yeah, like it's just the most Sabres thing ever. And then of course, I mean, you can't blame the team, but you also can kind of blame the team. Like, just how do you have so many injuries pop up? Like, it feels like a random injury happened almost after every game, and we were just like, okay, this is just the most Sabres season you could possibly get. And then to literally up until, I mean, I'm going to say even when McLeod tied it Saturday night, I was still like, this team, they're not winning this game. And then naturally they do. And then they go and hammer Edmonton 5-1. Not exaggerating when I say probably the best all-around performance by a Sabres team over the last 2 years. Like, that was just hands down domination of the Edmonton Oilers. Like, Connor McDavid frustrated all night, really not dangerous at all. So just extremely Sabres-esque. All in all, like, a disaster, I'd say, is a good way to describe how this season has started, given the expectations that were there going into it. But all in all, when you say a disaster, you look up and they're 6 points out of first place in the Atlantic.
And they just got their first road win in Detroit of the season.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. 1-5-2. Like, again, home and road splits, just insane. Like, there's always something that goes on with the Sabres, right? Like, the year that they were 1 point out, it's, their goaltending was a disaster. The next year, it's their 5-on-5 offense and power play regressed, but Luukkonen was really good. And then last year, it was Luukkonen was really bad. Their power play sucked. This year, it's your power play stinks. You're still scoring. You have the best penalty kill in the NHL. Your goaltending has actually been decent. And by the way, anytime you're not playing at KeyBank Center, you're going to look like a U8 team. It's always something. I'll tell you what. you can't say the Sabres aren't an interesting team. They might not be a good team, but they're definitely an interesting team. There's always something that'll make you happy or angry with this godforsaken hockey team that we cheer for.
And I know the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing at the time of recording this, but when you look at the standings right now, Austin, like, could you have imagined a scenario where Boston, Detroit, Montreal are at the top of the Atlantic, and not necessarily Buffalo, but Toronto, Tampa Bay, Florida are those teams that aren't the top 3 teams in the Atlantic?
Yeah, Boston clearly a surprise, right? Like, even when you see them at 12-9, you look at their roster. There's just no way. There's just no way they should be this good. But they're playing well. If it lasts, who knows? Montreal was a team that I was low on. They're kind of proving me wrong right now. They're a lot of fun. But even then, you still look at that division. Every team in the Atlantic Division has a 0 or negative goal differential. Like, the East is drunk, and it's another year where the East makes no sense. And then, of course, the Sabres just aren't finding a way to take advantage of it.
Like, of course, in a year where the bottom teams somehow are in the top, the Sabres are still the team that remains the same, right? Like,
yeah, it's just like,
the Leafs are in turmoil, and they're still technically tied with them, you know?
Yeah, at the time of recording, they're going into the third period with St. Louis tied at 2. So, like, there is still a chance where, with a game in hand, you're tied with the Leafs going into tomorrow, depending on how this third period goes tonight.
Right. So again, when you look at sort of what the Sabres have done as of late, and I'll pull up sort of their last 10, Austin, before we get into the real meat and potatoes of the episode. Like, you mentioned that Detroit game, being able to come back from down 4-1 for your first road win of the year. You beat an Edmonton Oilers team. McDavid only comes here once a year, but it's a big spectacle with him potentially being a Buffalo Sabre in his draft year, losing the lottery and everything like that. They had a dreadful road trip, out in Utah and Colorado. Like, when you look at sort of this last 10, to me, that is sort of what the Sabres have looked like all year. Like, they lose a couple, they win that game against Washington in the shootout, and then they lose 5 straight, and then they pull out 2 wins out of a hat that you would have never expected them to win. So it's like, how do you even evaluate what this team is right now?
Yeah,
and the injury status of guys too, obviously.
I was going to say, if we want to throw that out there, right? Not only do you have, if you look at the preseason projected top 3 lines for the Sabres team, right? You're now down Benson, Norris, Kulich, Zucker.
Right.
4 of your top 9 forwards that you were projecting to be a top, like, they're out. And based off what Lindy Ruff is saying, I mean, Kulich is a medical issue, but we don't know when that's going to be resolved. Doesn't sound like it's going to be anytime soon. Benson was supposedly only supposed to be gone for a week. Then he was in a walking boot. As early as, or as recently as yesterday, but now appears to be ready to join the team for morning skate, potentially, at the time of recording, it'll be tomorrow. Zucker, an illness, who just the poor guy, obviously not his fault, but of course, an illness that knocks him out for 2 weeks. Norris, it looks like he's going to be ready in the next coming weeks here, but stuff you can't overcome, right? And then Darlene, respect to him, glad he was able to, get the time off that he needed, because going through what he went through, clearly he needed that time off. But on the ice, this team is just not built to play without Rasmus Dahlin.
Nope.
So, unfortunately for him, the team was not able to rally and steal a win while he was gone. But the second he came back, you could just see, the difference that he makes. And just how, if you watch his reaction at the end of that Detroit game, that was a massive win for the team, and you could just see the relief on his face there. So it's just so many things have gone wrong, which is why I called it a disaster. But at the same time, as bad of a disaster as it's been, as big of a disaster as it's been, you're 6 points out of first place in the Atlantic. So, I have no clue what to make of this team. Still no clue.
About the Dahlin point, while he was out of the lineup, were you really expecting either Bowen Byram or Owen Power to really, showcase what they can do without 26 in the lineup? And how do you think both those guys performed in those bigger spots?
I mean, as a staunch Owen Power defender, clearly he played. Power was solid in that Carolina game. He's had some bad moments here and there. Still has some moments of frustration, but also some moments of brilliance. Which is the thing about Power, is the moments of brilliance don't really ever get talked about. It's the moments of frustration, which is fair. When you're a first overall pick, you're going to get criticized harshly. The thing about Byram, played really well against Edmonton. but I think everyone played really well against Edmonton. The thing about Byram that, when you noticed, and it's whether you want to look at the analytics or whether you just straight up watch the games, whatever pair Bo and Byram is on has more often than not been their worst pair. I don't know. Like he's fine. Like they didn't step up and fill Rasmus Dahlin's shoes because no one can, obviously, but like don't think they did a good enough job. But at the same time, like maybe it's not fair to expect them to fill Rasmus Dahlin's shoes because that's how good Rasmus Dahlin is. Like I said, it's just you could talk about it any which way. Like their best players, Tage, and this is I guess something we can talk about later because it's in the big picture. But Lindy was forced to put Tage back to center, thankfully, because that's the best thing that's ever happened to Tage. He's clearly better as a center, even though Lindy Ruff, for whatever reason, does not want him as a center. I can't think of a bigger disconnect between a head coach and the team's best player.
Does Lindy still think his wrist is hurting?
I don't know. But like even when Norris comes back, watch Tage the last 3 games. There's no way you can move that dude back to wing. Go with the top 3 center spine of Tage, Norris, McLeod. But just like I said, just random things like that. Like it's been such a weird, disastrous start to the season, but they're alive.
They are, and again, they're going to start to get some of these bodies back. I know Kesselring is sort of up in the air right now, week to week for him.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Like Dahlin coming back, obviously was the main thing because you could clearly see without your best player in your organization, and even with Bo Byram supposedly being able to step up. He's played his best hockey with Rasmus Dahlin, right? Like how long have we said that?
Yeah.
Probably since he got here to Buffalo from Colorado.
We assumed that was a pair that was just going to work this year because it's worked in the past, and it was not working. Now, people could say what they want. What Dahlin went through this summer with his fiance, like,
yeah,
don't blame the dude for not being 100%. Bo, you got to try and pick your teammate up, and you weren't able to, and that's, again, good or bad. Like, Bo is just not – Byram is a fine player, but he's not good enough to carry a pair. He needs a partner that will carry him. And unfortunately, it wasn't working. But like I said, every pair Byram's been on this year has been their worst pair. So it's tough. Like if you would have told me, 19 games in, Mattias Samuelsson is their second best defenseman, I would have been like, that's not true at all. But aside from Dahlin, tell me a player who's been on the back end who's been better than Mattias Samuelsson. Can't name one. Like he's been awesome, which isn't crazy because that's a victory lap Kevin Adams can take, which I don't want to give him any credit for that. But like it's just like I said, and we talked about in our offseason or season preview episode, are young guys going to get a chance to step up? These young guys have gotten a chance to step up because of injuries, and Rosen and Östlund are making the best of it. But like same thing, you would have told me that Isaac Rosen and Noah Östlund were key members of this group of 12 this early in the season. I would have told you, okay, that's a season from hell. And in many ways, it has been a season from hell to start, but it's like I said, it's been an utter disaster. But in pure Sabres fashion, the utter disaster, it's got life. Like I don't know a single team that is built to withstand more than one injury to their top 6 forwards. The Sabres have 3. I don't know one team that's built to have, Kesselring was not here last year, but he was penciled into their top 4. He has been hurt to start the year. Dahlin had to take a leave of absence, like missing so many key players. Whatever you think of Luukkonen or not, he was penciled in as the Sabres' number 1 goalie, was not healthy to start the year. Like it's been so many injuries, so many illnesses, so much inconsistency on who's on the ice, who's not on the ice, so much inconsistency from the players who are on the ice, except for a handful of players. In some way, it should have been expected because, if you talk to most people, Kevin Adams built this team to contend for the wild card, not to be a true contender in the East. And when you're building your team to be a contender for the wild card, you're not built to withstand this stuff. No one is, to be fair, but it feels like for the Sabres, you should have had some contingency plans in place. And thankfully, Rosen, Östlund, I'll give Kozak some call here. I'll give Josh Dunn a lot of credit. That dude's been awesome since he's been back up. I know he's a 4th liner, and people can say what you want about him. He's been awesome in his role. Zach Metz, Zach Metz had a couple good games. What we're going to talk about later, which is the goaltending situation. Like Colton Ellis was a waiver claim. 3-1. Is he the Sabres' number 1 goalie now? appears to be. I guess we'll see going forward. It's just
Josh Doan.
Josh Doan. I mean, yeah, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, just
People really didn't know what to expect from him, right? Like they thought he was just going to be like a typical third liner, but they've needed him on the top power play. He's moved up to the top line. Like he's been a very useful guy for them up and down the lineup so far with these injuries.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Like I said, like when we talked, I don't know if it was Saturday before the Red Wings game or if it was Friday night. We're like, what are we going to talk about on Tuesday? I told you like I had some thoughts, big picture stuff. And then in pure Sabres fashion, they win the next two, which will not take away from the big picture stuff. But like I was ready to come on here and just torch this team, torch this organization. And then of course they win two. And like I said, they're only 6 back of first in the Atlantic. So they're not dying easy, which I guess is a good thing. You got to give them credit for that.
Yeah. And you mentioned like how many key games they've missed from, your top line center and Norris, if you want to call him that, if Tage is on the wing, with Dahlin, with Kesselring, like all these guys, when you look at any other team and you do the comparison of where those guys are in their lineup, I don't see many teams being able to overcome that either. We see what the Leafs are going through right now as well. Like they've got a ton of key injuries, and look what's happening to them, right? So,
and no offense to the Sabres, but like on paper, the Sabres were a fine team. They weren't a good team,
right?
Like good teams aren't built to withstand this. So like a team like the Sabres clearly isn't. But like I said, I'm conflicted because it's probably the rug's gonna get ripped from under their feet again, probably more than likely. But it's shaping up to be they just hammered Edmonton. They got Calgary, who's the worst team in the NHL, coming into town. Chicago on Friday, but looking at the schedule, Chicago's on the back half of a back-to-back there. Like, this is one of those chances where the Sabres teams of the past, they've gotten this close to the hump and just never been able to get over it. Can they finally get over the hump now? Well, we don't know. We'll see. And this, I'm not going to call it an easy schedule because there's no easy moments for the Sabres. We know that. But getting, you've been really good at home this year, getting the Flames and the Blackhawks, and then Carolina on Sunday, which we know the Sabres just don't beat the Hurricanes, so it's probably a loss there. But having these next 2 games come at a time where it appears they're getting healthy, Benson, Norris, Zucker, they're not playing. We're gonna assume they're not playing against the Flames. Like we know Zucker isn't till the weekend. Norris is probably still a week or 2 away. Benson, who the hell knows? Like I don't know. If he joins the team for a morning skate, I'm gonna guess he needs a couple more skates before they can even consider putting him back in. But coming off that Edmonton game, and having this Flames, Blackhawks, Hurricanes stretch where it appears you're getting healthy, feels like if you were ever going to get over the hump, this is the time.
And you're at home, which you've played your best hockey.
Yeah. Like this, you can't, yeah. Yeah.
Like again, 1 win on the road. So like if they were on a 4-game road trip right now, you'd be like, ooh boy, like this is, but again, they have shown that they play their best hockey in front of their fans, which can get on them more than anybody. But it's, as you see up on the screen, the injury report there, as you mentioned, might still be a while for these guys. Kesselring's extended period of time going to be out, as Lindy Ruff said. Zucker and Norris participated in the morning skate, but again, we don't know that necessarily mean that they're going to be penciled into the lineup tonight or Friday or Sunday. And then Benson is expected at today's morning skate as well. So it's but right now they're relying on the Rosans and Oslands to be those guys. And I mean, all the credit to them. We didn't expect them up this early in the season. We expected those guys to be full-time Rochester Americans, and they've been able to come up, and maybe it's better that they're together. Maybe that helps the familiarity there. There's 2 of them. There's that connection. We saw that really nice goal that they set up against Detroit. So it's but it's not something that I think is sustainable. So they got to get healthy here, because I don't think you can rely on those 2 guys to produce at the rate they've been going at in the top 6 for the next 20 games to come.
Yeah, when we get into big picture stuff, I might have a little bit of a contradicting opinion on that, because I do think they probably, maybe not at that rate. Like Isaac Rosen's producing at a 57-point pace. I don't know if I don't think he can keep, but I do think that these 2 can give you what they've been giving you, and you won't miss a step. Now, granted, it's a different story when you're talking about getting a guy like Zach Benson, Josh Norris, Jason Zucker back. But if you look at the way the team's played since these 2 young kids have been up, they're not the problem. Up until that I'll say the Colorado game because Tage started to kind of bring it in that Colorado game. Up until that game, the issue with the Sabres was 89 and 72. They were not playing well at all. They were sinking this team because they're your two best players and they were not playing like your two best players. In a contract year for Tuch and an Olympic year for Tuch and an Olympic year for Tage, they have been way too inconsistent. Now they're starting to bring it on. I think a big part of Tage not playing well was that he was playing wing, which could be a whole nother problem. Like if you're sad because you're not at center, one, use your big boy words. You're an adult making a lot of money. Go to your coach and say, I want to play center. Or two, you're talented enough, just take over the game as a winger. But the noticeable jump in his play since he went back to center, it's clear that that's where he belongs. Tuch has been really good, really bad, really good, really bad. I think it's fair to say the contract situation might be wearing on him, or at least in the back of his mind. But you can see it when Tuch's at his best. Like the Edmonton game was perfect. Everyone was playing at their best, and that team, without all those guys, steamrolled the Oilers. So, like I said, big picture stuff. You got some tough choices to make, Kevin Adams and Lindy Ruff, because you're 2-3 if you want. You can throw Kozak in there if you want. These guys are saying, "Hey, I don't know if I want to go back to Rochester. I don't know if I deserve to go back to Rochester," because, like I said, when we talk about the big picture stuff in the back half, I mean, is Tyson Kozak a lot? Is that a huge drop off from a Peyton Krebs coming from Peyton Krebs' biggest supporter? You know, is Rosen and Osland, are you really worse off having them in the lineup than you are? Again, no offense to Zucker. Zucker's been a great veteran for this team, but I haven't missed Zucker. I can tell you that. I'm glad he's coming back, but production wise, you haven't missed him.
Yeah. And the penalty kill,
like when we talk big picture stuff, there's 3 Sabres that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Greenway, Krebs, and I mean, let's be honest, Jack Quinn has been really up and down, but when has he looked at his best? As soon as Rosen and Osland got here, Quinn started to feel comfortable and take over again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Got some tough decisions to make with your roster. And that's before we even talk about the goalie situation. Like,
yeah, there's a lot to go over. And again, Lindy Ruff and Kevin Adams, both, one or neither of them could be here next year for those decisions to come down. But
it should be neither of them.
Sure that you're not the only one with a hot take of that.
I don't even think that's a hot take.
No, it's not. It was a sarcastic hot take.
Yeah.
But again, we're going to get into the big picture stuff. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the fan poll. We're going to talk about the goaltending. And as Austin mentioned, who should be making these big decisions for the Sabres in some important contract years. So stay right here. We're right back on Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network.
J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with our customers, simplifying the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring.
Pets bring immense joy to our homes, becoming an integral part of our families. But this living, loving experience often requires a little extra care and attention. That's where Global Pet Foods comes in, with owners and staff ready to support you every step of the way. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Proud to sponsor the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara Ice Dogs.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training, and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, and Better Jobs Ontario information and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Hey, hey, here we go. It's hockey night in Buffalo. Hey, hey, here we go. The boys in blue, white, and gold. Hey, hey, here we go. Make some noise, get in the zone. All for one and one for all. Let's hear you from your heart and soul. And we will stand raising our hands, saying, let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Sabres Semantics episode. Brendan Caputo and Austin Broad of Elite Prospects back with you right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you those that are tuned in on the video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay updated with all of our video coverage here on the network. And thank you those that are loyal audio listeners on your favorite on-demand podcast platforms. You also give us a follow on X at Sabres Semantics, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network for all of our short reels and content. So, Austin, let's start things off here in segment 2. We're going to talk big picture here. I know it's something that you really want to discuss here. Who should be making these decisions for the Sabres? What decisions should they be making? And as the team gets healthy, what are the roster decisions with some of these guys? You know, what do you do with Rosén? What do you do with Osland? We're going to get into all that in part 2 today, but we're going to start things off here with our fan poll. And again, at Sabres Semantics on X to get in on our fan polls for all of our episodes that we record here on Sabres Semantics. And the poll today was, which of the 3 goaltenders has earned the bulk of the starts for the Sabres going forward? For you guys watching on YouTube, you can see the results, but for you listening in audio, Colton Ellis was the landslide winner here at 71%. Alex Lyon was second at 29%, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen 0%. Austin, first of all, do the results of this poll surprise you? A, and B, what are your thoughts on it?
A little surprise in terms of just Ellis getting 71%. Probably a little recency bias, but that's fine. I mean, Lyon deserves so much credit for how he was able to kind of stabilize things early on when it was going bad. I know people are saying he pumpkined a little bit. I'm not going to say he turned back into a pumpkin. Like, he's an older guy who, has been he's been as good as you can ask for the Sabres, right? Has he had a couple rough games? Yeah, but he's a goalie. That's what happens. Ellis, I think aside from, don't even know how much blame you can really put on him, but aside from that final period in the road Utah game, has been very good in all of his starts. I think, after last night, it's fair to say he's earned the net here a little bit. And from what we know about Lindy likes to ride the hot hand. Ellis is the hot hand, so I could see it there. I don't disagree with Luukkonen getting 0% of the vote, but that kind of speaks to a bigger issue here: is why the heck do we still have 3 goalies? Right? Like, earlier in the year, I think we were like, okay, Colton Ellis, don't know what you have here, but you kind of have to let Luukkonen work his way back from the injury. And I'm not going to say he's been terrible since health, but in his limited starts, Luukkonen has been what we've known Luukkonen to be, right? Inconsistent, makes some big saves here and there, but at the end of the day, just leaves you thinking, like, I just needed one timely save in this game and it could have made a difference. That Leafs game that they lost in overtime was that was the best encapsulation of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's career.
1-2-1 on the season.
Yeah, I know financially he's the one you've been committed to, but
yeah, if he goes on waivers, do you think he would get claimed?
No, not with that contract. But I also think with that contract, he's not totally untradeable either. I don't know what his value is. But
4.75 for the next 3 years after.
Yeah, but don't know. Again, obviously it's a limited no trade clause kicking in next year, but this is the year you can move on from him and send him anywhere you want, without even talking about Devin Levi, who also factors into this because next year he's going to need waivers, right?
Yep.
So like you kept 3 goalies because you wanted to have an insurance policy in case Luukkonen got hurt or whatever. Luukkonen has not been playing well. Lyon has needed a little bit of a break. Ellis has stepped up. This herein lies the problem with 3 goalies is all 3 of these guys need the net. You're not in a position as an organization to try and share up the net. It's I got to let my best goalie play. And right now, my best goalie is Colton Ellis. Is he going to be the best goalie for the Sabres for the rest of the year? Nobody knows. But right now he is. 4 games is a small sample size, but like when you really think about it, what's the worst case for Colton Ellis? He gives you ukko-pekka Luukkonen level of play. Well, I already have that in ukko-pekka Luukkonen, but it's costing me $4 million more than Colton Ellis does. So I think that's, back to the Rosen and Östlund thing we were talking about earlier. These guys are kind of forcing your hand here, forcing some tough decisions on you. If you're a real organization, you have to ice your best roster, and you need to have those conversations on what is my best roster. And right now, it appears that Colton Ellis needs to be on this if this is your best roster. You can make the case for both Rosen and Östlund, but guaranteed one of them needs to be on this roster if it's your best roster. So what tough decisions need to be made? How do you make them? Like you said, considering waiving Luukkonen, no one's claiming him, but guess what? If you waive Luukkonen, who's down in Rochester right now? Devin Levi.
Yep.
Who's Rochester leaned on for the last 2+ years?
Devin Levi.
Devin Levi.
You're going to take starts away from him to start Luukkonen?
For Luukkonen? Like, you kind of already did that up here in Buffalo. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and we know for a fact Colton Ellis would probably get claimed by St. Louis or reclaimed because they hated losing him.
Not only that, Colton Ellis has played good enough someone else besides St. Louis. St. Louis, I think, is like 3rd on the waiver order, so he probably would end up back there. But like someone else would put in a claim on Colton Ellis.
Right.
If not St. Louis. You know how it is with goalies. It's the goaltending situation has now come to a head where they could get away with 3 goalies earlier in the year with all these injuries and stuff. We just said people are starting to get healthy. You can't afford to waste one roster spot on a 3rd goalie who's not really playing very often. You've got to make a choice here.
You think they're like, if a trade, let's like hypothetical, if somebody came to Adams right now and said, I'll trade you anything for ukko-pekka Luukkonen, you think he's taking it? Draft pick, anything, just to get that contract and figure out, all right, we got Ellis and Lyon for the rest of the
year. Here's the problem. I don't want you to make a dumb trade for ukko-pekka Luukkonen, but you should absolutely be shopping him, trying to get value for him. Whether it's, again, later after we talk about, or we can get into it now either if you want. I don't care either. Is Kevin Adams the one I want making that trade? I don't know, but guess what? He's the GM, so you got to let him do his job. Unfortunately, if you don't remove him from his job, part of his job is to make these roster decisions. This is whether people like everyone. We all know it as fans. We all know it as people anyone who covers the Sabres. 3 goalies is fine when you have the roster flexibility. You don't have the roster flexibility coming up. Norris is going to be healthy. Benson's going to be healthy. Zucker is going to get healthy. Östlund, Rosen are playing well. You can't you're wasting 2 roster spots right now at the Sabres on a 3rd goalie and Mason Geertsen. You don't have that luxury anymore now that people are starting to get healthy. And your AHL guys are playing good. And Colton Ellis is playing good. Colton Ellis was fine when you didn't know what you had, but guess what? Right now you're about to lean on him as your number 1 for a little bit here.
Yeah.
So a decision needs to be made.
And in your opinion, Adams isn't the guy to make the decision. Well,
no, but unfortunately he's the one in charge right now, so he's got to be the one to make it. Whether I want him to or not, he's the one who's got to make this decision.
Is it Jarmo?
It could be. There's an argument that it could be.
You did bring up a good point before we started about where Jarmo was and where Kevin Adams was this weekend.
If you listen to Matthew Fairburn, he's like, Jarmo is around the arena in Buffalo all the time. He's at practices. He's at games. He was scouting a Columbus game with Jason Carmanos a couple weeks ago. He was the one on the road in Utah, where apparently Kevin Adams was in Rochester at the Amherst game. But then Kevin Adams was also scouting the Leafs Kings the other week. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's in charge, but someone is in charge, and someone has to make these decisions. When the Sabres were losing to Detroit, I was fully on board to lose this game, and let's hope it forces a change. Probably a little bit of wishful thinking because 13 losses in a row last year wasn't enough for them to force a change. But it comes down to the dude is here. You have to let him do his job. You if you want to be considered a real respectful organization, you cannot waste a roster spot on the 3rd goalie who's not playing. I know you financially committed to ukko-pekka Luukkonen. Tough. You financially committed to Dylan Cousins and you shipped him out. Make the move here.
They were like smitten that when Colton Ellis became available on the waiver wire. It was
Yeah, and
a godsend to
to
them.
their credit, nice waiver pickup. Whether he pans out or not, you saw something in your scouting department saw something in this kid. He's been very solid for 4 games. Not a bad waiver pickup. He's clearly an upgrade over Georgiev, who's our third goalie in training camp, right? So like
And Lions on a 2-year deal.
Lions on a 2-year deal. If we're talking this season, it's not smart to have 3 goalies. If we're talking big picture, you have to decide between Luukkonen and Levi anyway.
Right.
If Ellis is good, you then have to decide between Ellis, Luukkonen, and Levi and Lyon. The easiest way is to ship one of them out right now. And not in terms of like today, but like soon this year.
Right.
Because like I said, the roster crunch is coming. You have some tough decisions to make, and as terrifying as it is, right now, Kevin Adams and Jarmo. If it's Jarmo, I feel less terrified about it. But like, as far as I know, Kevin Adams is still the GM of this team, so he's going to be the one making them.
If they could get out from under that Luukkonen contract, you look at Lyon and Ellis, that's just over $2 million for your 2 goalies. Like, that's a bargain, right?
Yeah,
but
it's a bargain.
Can you rely on that?
That's the problem. But on the flip side, like I just said, what's the worst case for Colton Ellis? You get ukko-pekka Luukkonen level consistency for $4 million less than what Luukkonen's making.
Right.
Right? Like,
you have to, but do you think they might have to retain some of that salary from somebody?
I don't think so. 4.75 for a guy who could be, look at some of these goalie contracts out there. I don't think so. Like, Joey Decord's making a ton of money.
So is Grubauer.
Yeah, like I think the contract is fine.
Right. Now,
I'm not saying, like, I'm not here to crap on Luukkonen or anything, but when you factor in the near immediate goaltending situation with the Levi of it all for the future, it feels like if you're ever going to move Luukkonen, now is the time. Or you have to say, Luukkonen's our number one, and we have to give him a shot here. But you, as a serious hockey team, cannot do that. He has not shown anything for the last year plus. He had the 1 year, 2 years ago where he caught lightning in a bottle, played really well, and the team in front of him failed him. But in the other years of his NHL career, he's been what he is. I'd rather see Colton Ellis at $775,000 get a shot here, and Lyon, because Lyon's been also. I know he's had his ups and downs, but Lyon has been very good for the Sabres so far this year.
And Levi's on an extension as well right now, right? Like,
yeah, like I said, Levi will factor into this next year because he needs waivers. So like you have to make a choice on what you actually think Devin Levi is. But it's a lot easier to pick between 3 goalies than it is 4. And if you don't move Luukkonen and you carry 3 goalies for the rest of the year, you then not only have to find the net for all 3 of them, you have to factor in that you have 4 goalies under contract who will all need waivers and all need to like have a shot. Yeah. And then that's like the goalie situation's big. And like I hinted at before, the roster crunch up front, we can ignore the defense for a bit because it feels like Kesselring is going to be out for a while. And there's not really a decision to make. We know who their top 6 defense are. But with their forwards coming, what's up?
I was just going to say, point of order, if you wanted to quickly touch on the Levi thing with Mike Leone.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that if you want. I know Michael Leone was hot in the streets for a little bit. I also firmly, not saying he should be the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, but it factors into the Rosen and Osland. Is it really a surprise that the 2 guys who were coming up from Rochester look the most competent on the power play when, the current Sabres power play is being run by the old Rochester head coach? That leads into Leone just being what seems like a very competent and good head coach if you want to play the Levi clip.
Yeah. I want to play this because obviously Devin Levi, as you mentioned earlier in the show, he's been Rochester's guy last year, this year. They rely on him a lot, but over this last weekend, his head coach definitely, held him accountable. And here's Mike Leone post-game following his second straight polling of Devin Levi.
The decision, just, I guess, thoughts on the Devin Levi. Only second time he's ever been pulled.
Well, he's got to be better. Like, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I know he's a really good goalie, but it's not about him. It's about the team. You don't play good enough, you're just like a player. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, I understand, but that's a lot of goals in the 3-game stretch. You know what I'm saying? And we believe in him. But at the same time, part of your development is we need a save. Like, the 5th one can't go in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just can't. Like, I understand. I was the one that pulled him twice. Like, anyone who knows me, if you play well, you're going to play. So it's the same thing for a goalie. Just because Just because his name's Devin Levi doesn't mean he can't get pulled or not play good. Like, it's a team effort. Like, I'm not here to, like, it's part of his development. Like, you just, at the same time, we believe in him. I believe in him. He's been really good for us. But if someone plays bad, like, you got to play better.
Austin, what are your reactions to that? And do you think that's just a sort of a small sample size thing, or do you think that's a bigger issue?
No, I don't think it's a bigger issue. I think it's a small sample size. You look at Levi's AHL career; he's been great, but I mean, every goalie gets pulled at one point in their career, so I have no
Right.
problem with that. I have no problem with Leone saying it either. I think you take that message and you echo it and reply directly to what's going on here with the Sabres too.
Right.
Like you're in Ruff's credit, he does that. He rides the hot hand. When you're a goalie, if you're playing good, you play. And to be fair, I know Luukkonen got a couple starts in a short stretch here, but who have been the goalies that have had multiple starts in a row? It's been Lyon, and now it's Ellis's turn. Levi hasn't had that this year, which reflects on the fact that he has not played well enough this year. He lost the net to James Reimer at the end of last year in a season that was lost.
Right.
If you want to take what Leone said and apply it to the Sabres, you play well, you're going to play. Luukkonen, you got to play well to play. He hasn't played well. Like, it's kind of where I'm at with the three goalie situation, where
Yeah.
someone's the odd man out. He's consistently been the odd man, even back to Comrie, Levi, and Luukkonen when Levi first got here, when the Sabres were pushing for that playoff spot and missed it by a point. They rode Devin Levi for the last 10 games of the year because that's who they trusted. The Sabres, and that was before Ruff, the Sabres have shown over years that they will give Levi the net, but he has not been able to keep it aside from that 1 year where he was hot. It's time to make the choice on the kid. If he's gonna be here, he's your most expensive goalie. You got to play him.
Yeah. Like, how much longer do you think this can drag on before we get to the forward side?
Not long, because getting straight to the forward side, that's going to put a crunch on your numbers.
Yeah. True.
We just talked about it. Zucker and Benson look like they're coming back in the next couple days. They're both currently on IR. To get them activated, you got to send two guys down. Who's going down when they come out? Who's going down when Norris comes back? We're not even talking about, you know who else is on IR? Justin Danforth. Haven't even mentioned his name. I don't really care to mention his name, but that's another guy that will have to be activated at some point.
And you could use that extra roster spot if you didn't have three goalies. You know?
You could use that extra roster spot if you didn't have three goalies, if you didn't have Mates and Geertsen. Right here. I mean, you said that, you don't know if you personally can trust Rosen and Östlund here. In your opinion, have they played good enough to be Buffalo Sabres right now?
I think they've played better than some of the people on this roster for sure so far this year.
100%.
Yeah. I'm just looking at like throughout an 82 game season.
Yeah, no. Totally fair.
Totally
fair. But what I'm saying, comes into big picture. Who should be making these decisions? What are these decisions? Real serious hockey team, you need to ice your best roster.
Yeah.
The current state of the Buffalo Sabres, their best roster includes at least one of Östlund or Rosen. Maybe not both of them, because I understand, we can't have Östlund and Rosen here and have them, them on the fourth line, because that's just not realistic and all that stuff.
You'd rather them in Rochester on the top line at that point. So.
Maybe. I mean, realistically, I wouldn't prefer that, but I get the roster makeup. You have roles for people, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying is I'd much rather have those two than Greenway, Krebs. I mean, nothing against Malenstein. He's a great fourth liner. So I'll keep him, I guess. Dunn's played well. I'll keep him too. Kozak, Krebs, Greenway are the three. If we take what we know about Lindy Ruff, Greenway, and Kevin Adams, Greenway's not going anywhere. Like, we had Greenway start the other night. Like, the Detroit game, Greenway was supposed to be on the ice, and McLeod waved him off so he could go score the game-tying goal. Like, this is what I'm talking about. The coach trusts Greenway, so my opinion doesn't matter there. He's clearly being here. But what I'm saying is, if you're a true team who wants to be the best, you have to ice your best roster. And I see at least 4 or 5 guys on this roster that should be snipped, sent down, traded, anything before those two go down.
So you'd say guys on odd men out, Greenway, Geertsen.
Oh, Geertsen should be gone. I think Geertsen should be gone. I don't know if they will.
When he comes off IR.
Again, why is Justin Danforth signed here if Peyton Krebs and Tyson Kozak are going to be here? Nothing against Justin Danforth, but like we had a guy for his role and they decided to sign him anyway. They've done moves that don't make any sense and are restricting their ability to ice their best roster. Like I look at as good as Jack Quinn has been playing, you're telling me if you replace Jack Quinn in this lineup with Isaac Rosen, is it that big of a drop off?
Probably not, and it's cheaper.
Probably
James
not.
Greenway's making $4 million this year and next year.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're now coming down to crunch time where these two are forcing your hand, and it's time to look at your roster and make some real tough decisions. I'm not saying you need to trade Quinn for Rosen, but I think he's played well enough for it to at least be a conversation. Whether it's Quinn, whether it's Osland over Krebs, you know what I mean? Like there's a couple of these roster battles where it's like we said it before with Rosen. If not this year, when? Well, it looks like he is ready this year.
Now, does this tie back into the summer discussion that we, beat a dead horse to about Kevin Adams not going out and getting an established veteran top six forward?
Yeah, of course it does. Because what did Kevin Adams do? He got a bunch of guys to fill the bottom six again when the bottom six options could have just been filled in-house. Hand up, you could say Josh Doan has been a top six acquisition. It's semantics. He was not a top six acquisition when you traded for him. Sure. Like I said, it all comes down to, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's these tough roster decisions coming up. They're real. Like these are not easy decisions to make. They're ones that need to be made. The guy who's in charge of this team right now, again, because he's the GM, so I'm going to assume he's in charge. I don't know if I want this guy making these tough choices. Unfortunately, this is the situation that they're in. I don't know if I trust him to make the right one. I think he's going to lean on the fact that Rosen and Osland are both waiver exempt. They can be sent down, no problem. And that's what they'll do.
Even if the team looks worse without them there.
Even if the team looks worse. I think that is what's going to happen. I think that is wrong. I think these two have played well enough to earn an extended look. Don't get me wrong. If Jarmo was the GM here, I don't necessarily know he's not doing the same exact thing. But I do know Kevin Adams' track record, Kevin Adams being potentially a lame duck GM, being in charge here. I don't know if I want him even exploring the trade market for a guy. Like he should have explored the trade market for a guy like Jack Quinn in the offseason, and he didn't. He just signed him to a 2-year extension. That kind of is foreshadowing to where I don't think he's going to make these tough choices because he's committed to these guys. He's just going to stay committed to them.
I mean,
again, I don't know if Jarmo makes the hard choice either. Obviously, this is just any free world here, but between the goalie situation and these young Rochester guys pushing for roster spots, like it's time to grow up and be a real team here, be a real organization, make a tough choice. Hey, I know Jordan Greenway, I gave you a 2-year, $4 million contract. You're not playing good. I'm sending you out, or I'm doing something with you. Hey, Peyton Krebs, giving you ample opportunity to prove you're more than a fourth liner. You're not. I got to do something with you. Hey, Jack Quinn, I know I gave you a bridge deal, but I can get similar production from Osland and Rosen here. I'm going to look to see what I can get for you. These are conversations that need to be had, and I just don't trust the guy in charge to be having them, and I don't trust the guy in charge to make the right decisions to ice the best roster. I'm not saying I know what the best roster is, but I watch the team. I see these young kids. I see Colton Ellis playing. I know there's real debates on who's better for this team or not. And I don't think it's going to matter. I think, like I said, I think he's going to take the easy way out. He's going to waive Osland and Rosen. I don't think he's going to trade Luukkonen. I think they're just going to run 3 goalies. And I just don't think these decisions are one best for the team. But at this, it all leads to the guy up top, Terry Pagula. Adam shouldn't be the GM. Adam shouldn't even be in position to have these decisions fall into his lap. But here he is. And of course, now I don't trust him to make the right choice. And a supposed playoffs or bust year.
Right. And you've also got another major decision in the Alex Tuck contract, right? Like, come trade deadline, are you moving Alex Tuck if you're not in it? And that's the other thing. Is Adams the right guy to make, a massive roster decision like that of Alex Tuck at age 29, re-sign him, trade him? What do you do? Like, again, that's a major decision that Kevin Adams has to do within the next 12 months if he's still on the job.
Yeah, the Tuck one is a little bit more nuanced because I'll give him some credit here. Not credit. If you're signing Alex Tuck, I don't think it takes, if you're saying, hey, you have the okay to sign Tuck, Adams can do that. That's fine. Now, when it comes to if they don't sign Tuck and they want to trade him, no, I don't want Adams making that trade. I don't want Kevin Adams deciding what player, prospect, or pick he wants for Alex Tuch? Hell no. Because if you're trading Tuch and you're getting futures, Adams, you're not part of the future. You don't get to decide what comes in that return. The signing of Tuch, I guess, it is what it is, right? Like the market kind of sets itself. Terry Pegula, I don't know how the hell this deal hasn't been signed yet. That's a whole nother story here. But yeah, no, for in terms of trading Tuch, absolutely not. There's no way Adams should be involved in trading a guy like that. But again, maybe we're all wrong, and maybe he's GM and title only, and Yarmo's the one running the team. But until I'm told that, I have to act like this dude's the GM because they let him stick around. We know his relationship with Terry. We know how much Pegula trusts him. So how can I believe that he's not the one in charge?
Right. And I mean, Alex Tuch got off to a slow start this year. Like, again, what's the market value for him, right? Like, does that?
I mean, Kempe just signed for 10.625 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Pretty good comparable. I know Kempe's younger, but production wise, winger wise, everything wise, that it seemed to be the one that everyone said this is a pretty good comparable for Tuch. Guess what? They're all he signed, Connor signed. Who else signed? Eichel was always going to be above him. Kaprizov was always going to be above him. McDavid was always going to be above him. But all these guys signed. The free agent class is looking real slim next year. You don't think Tuch's agents are like, hey, man, maybe hold off. We can go to market. If you really want to stay in Buffalo, we can go to market and get more leverage. I don't know. I don't know what these conversations are having. Obviously, I know nothing about it. But, like,
right.
I do know Kevin Adams let this Tuch, and Tuch deserves some blame in this too. Like, Tuch didn't sign with the Sabres. I'm sure there was negotiations involved. But given what we know about Adams and the Sabres and their whole situation here, we knew Tuch had all the leverage. So I don't blame Tuch for using his leverage. Adams, you let this linger. Now, Tuch, you're letting it, at times letting it potentially affect your play. But for the most part, Tuch is, he's producing at nearly a point per game pace. He's still playing well. Is he perfect all the time? No. But he's a human, so I'm sure the contract's weighing on his mind. But it's another same thing here. It's like you let Kevin Adams be in charge. He traded JJ Peterka, right? Not a core piece, but a top 6 piece. You let him bring in Kesselring and Doan, Doan's been really good. Kesselring remains to be seen. He's been hurt, all that, things like that. But you let him make an altering trade there. You let him try to sign Tuch. He never did. It's just a whole cycle of this guy should not be the one in charge, but you keep letting him be in charge, and these big decisions keep coming, and he either keeps making the wrong one or is not, competent enough to make the right one, or, like I said, now he's like, the Jordan Greenway deal is just such a disaster. And now it's severely limiting your ability to build a competent roster, because not only is he signed for 2 years, but your coach loves him. And I don't know why.
It's not even Don Granato anymore.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it's just.
I'll leave you on this question, Austin, to wrap up. Like, if, let's say the team continues to flounder, and then you've got the Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin go to the front office again and say, we're not sticking around for this. Like, at what point does a change have to be made? Whether the players ask for it, whether the standings dictate it. Like, if we're sitting here talking in February and they're in the same spot, what do you do?
Well, with Dahlin, you tell him tough. Like, sorry, buddy, I'm not trading you. Nothing, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You hope Yarmo has enough command and respect around the league and with these players to be like, because again, naturally, just assuming he is the one that takes over, because we know the Sabres don't like to run searches and things like that. He's done it before, been good at it before. Is he the perfect option? No, but if the Sabres said, hey, we're conducting a search and we landed on Yarmo, I wouldn't be upset, wouldn't be thrilled, but he's fine. Maybe you tell Tage and Dahlin, absolutely not, you're not going anywhere. You tell Tage, if I don't get the right offer for you, sorry, bud, you're staying. And then you let Yarmo retool this thing on the fly. Doesn't have to be a blow it up, tear it down situation. But I will say, as far as we know, the coach, the GM, and as far as I know, the rest of the coaching staff is all in the last year of their contract.
Right.
Coaching staff aside, Kevin Adams' track record is so bad that it shouldn't even be saved by a playoff year. So if this thing goes south, it was going south. That's what I said. Like, when I texted you over the weekend, I was ready to talk about firing Adams and letting Yarmo take the reins for the rest of the year and start retooling on the fly. Of course, they won 2 in a row, so now it's kind of changed up But the grand scheme of things, it still matters. It's still the same thing. It's Kevin Adams should not be in charge of this team. The only reason he's still here is because he trusts the owner, or the owner trusts him, I should say.
And the Leafs picked up a point, at least.
Yeah. So, like I said, like you're 6 points out. You have a lot of things going on here, but I wanted to really talk about the big picture stuff because I truly do think, in my opinion, if not enough to make the team permanently, Östlund and Rosen have played well enough to force some conversations. And unfortunately, the guy who needs to have those conversations is someone I don't want anywhere near making roster decisions on this team.
Because it just makes the easy decision because they're waiver exempt, right? And instead of actually dictating,
I would assume that's what's going to happen. I mean, can you see a world where like Justin Danforth, Justin Danforth doesn't even factor in because he's on IR. So can you see a world where they waive Peyton Krebs? No. Maybe they would choose Rosen or Östlund over Kozak because Kozak does need waivers, but he's not been here. But tell me that's a consequential move. Not really. I like Tyson Kozak Tyson Kozak is someone I've been high on for a long time as a 7th round pick. He's borderline. He's decent 4th line center, but like I said, it's just the future. The roster is about to take shape because these guys are coming healthy, and now 2 new guys have entered the equation. Real conversations need to be had, and of course, the guy who's in charge of this team is a guy that no one wants making a trade that has any consequence on this team.
Honest evaluations, as always, from Austin Broad when he comes on the show. But Austin, always appreciate talking Sabres with you. And, hopefully when you come on again in a hopefully shorter time than last time we talked,
hopefully,
maybe Östlund and Rosen will still be up here.
Maybe. Yeah, Leafs just picked up a 2nd point. So
there you go. Sabres are firmly.
But yes, definitely need to come on more frequently. I'd like to not be as rusty as I was tonight, so definitely need to come on a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, we'll see what happens here. Pure Sabres fashion, pure chaos. I wouldn't be surprised if they found a way to win the next 2 and be a couple points out again.
And they reel you right back in. But that's going to wrap it up for another entertaining episode of Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you to those that tuned in on our video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell as always. Stay updated with all of our video coverage. And thank you to those that chose to listen to us today on your favorite on-demand audio platform for all of our Kevin Adams talk, as always, on this show. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Sabres Semantics. Stay up to date with our Sabres coverage and on all social media platforms. So for Austin Broad of Elite Prospects, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's going to be it for another episode of Sabres Semantics on the Armchair GM Sports Network. We'll talk to you guys again very soon.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.